Hello, welcome back, folks. You ready to do some triad studies today? Grab your guitar, grab your loop pedal, or you can just play along with me. Welcome to this live stream. I've been doing daily live streams this month of September. September is always a very special month, besides being my birthday month last Friday. Um, it's also the seventh anniversary. Whoa, I'm getting some delay here. That's hold on. Can you guys hear an echo? Is anybody out there watching? Type in the comments, please. Welcome to this live stream. It's one of my favorite topics, triads. I think I did my first triad video about 8 years ago, and it was on Django Reinhardt's minor swing, um, demonstrating the improvisation, which I feel is still really a phenomenal lesson. Um, that was before triads got really super popular on YouTube. So now I think the whole triad approach is flooded. But like I said, it's one of the most important and overlooked aspects of the guitar. So, Keith and Jay, welcome. Exactly. No. Well, I wasn't gonna say that, but definitely check out my older videos on triads. I think people are definitely realizing how important they are. So this is really gonna be kind of a beginner lesson, Keith. This might be too beginner for you, but honestly, it's like you can never get enough practice on triads. So that's what this lesson is about. Is just how do I start with practicing and mastering these triad shapes? So I'm going to offer you 3 chord progressions or songs. Man, you can never get enough triad practicing. So I also posted in the description, there's an old video lesson. I call it the primer, where I go through major, minor, diminished, augmented. Then I go through the next inversion, major, minor, diminished, augmented. Next inversion, major, this is all G, minor, diminished, and augmented. The augmented will always be the same shape if you're on the same string set. And these are all 3 notes per string, adjacent strings, kind of a closed position, as if you're playing the piano. And the other important thing to know, and again, I'm not going to review all of that because you can just watch that video, is to know whether you're in first inversion, second inversion, or root position. That's the root. We're talking about the lowest note, so that's another good way just to communicate, especially. And it kind of has a different vibe as if you were to really play it like with a third in the bass or the fifth in the bass. There's a different. It's really beautiful how the inversions are so important, especially the bass notes when you have a bass player, especially. So yeah, if you guys are just tuning in, if you're watching it on Patreon, definitely click on the link that brings you to YouTube so that you can chat with me. It's always great to see you. So again, go through that, and that study, the one that you can download for free in the description, I call it Triad Complete Study. It just goes through all 6 strings with those closed position voicings. Not There's no spread voicings. Spread voicings would be something like this, where you're spreading your dropping the note. So instead of like G E C G, you put the C below, and those are beautiful as well, and I would recommend that. But this is just a beginner lesson. So um, minor swing was kind of the lesson that I had done early on as far as improvising using the triad method, but today I'm going to just offer you something simpler than that. Who can guess the song out of the billion songs that are out there? Keith, you probably know. It's on Patreon already. Any other Patreon members here, by the way? Type in the chat. I don't know everybody because not everybody replies. or comments on Patreon. You don't have to. I just it's nice to have that community, and it's nice to see people's names that I've never seen before, so I can't keep track of it. Thanks, Keith. Yeah, my birthday was last Friday. It was a nice day. Okay, so the first song, the progression that I want to go over, that I think is just fun and easy to play, basically, is I'll play you two notes. I'll play it in rhythm. You guys guess the song. Now let's guess that tune. What is that riff? You want to do 3 notes? Who can guess that riff? What song am I talking about? Oh yeah, Graham got it. I knew you would, Graham. Graham leaps up. Hey, you're welcome, Jay. It's my pleasure. Again, usually, I was during the pandemic time, I was doing all these online Zoom lessons and stuff. So, and then after that, I continued on with some workshops, gypsy jazz and solo guitar. But now lately, I'm just doing live streams. It's easier for me. I just do it when I have time in between lessons. I try to schedule them if possible, but sometimes it's just like an hour before if I have an opening. So it's my pleasure. And I'm also, if you guys have any topics, requests, just always leave me a song topic or name, and I'm happy to consider it. Brown Eyed Girl, thanks, Jay. So we have this. Now, I'm not going to teach you that. You don't care about that. But you should know it. It's a classic riff. And it's really interesting, by the way, how everybody thinks it's in the key of G. And it is in the key of G. But when they do this riff on the G chord, these double stops, they're called double stops, or thirds, that's all in the key of G. But when it goes to the C, it's an F natural, not an F sharp. So it's like a direct, like a blues thing, like you're going, and then you go, kind of a similar vibe. So essentially, you're really going to the key of C for that chord. You're not doing the Lydian mode. I'm not going to get too crazy on you with theory talk today, but it's not this, but it's this. Okay, if you know what I'm saying. So it's almost like you're switching keys to the key of C or G Mixolydian, and then to the D riff. But it's essentially what I'm going to talk about is the chord progression. Okay, 1, 4, 5. The particular progression goes 1 to the 4, back to the 1 to the 5. Again, in popular music, you've got to master 1, 4, 5, and that, getting into jazz or any other style, you got to master that. And we'll go through some other popular progressions, and I have got a couple more things to share with you today besides teaching you Brown Eyed Girl. Jay, yeah, you're like, wow, that's an F natural. Never thought about that, right? Yeah, it's really interesting that to me, it's like, because you would think you're just going to stay in the key of G, 1, 4, 5, G, C, D, and you are with the chords, but that color tone, that F natural, is really quite interesting on the riff, right? And then but the chords are this, and let me see, where's my guitar at here? Why am I way over here? So can you guys see that? Where's my fretboard at? Okay, there it is. That's kind of a funny angle. So you got G, C, G, D, right? That's 1, 4, 5 in the key of G. Again, there's going to be some shop talk, obviously. If you don't know that, I'd suggest that you learn chord theory in the key of G. You got G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp diminished, G major. How many people know F sharp diminished? Raise your hand. Play it for me. I always quiz my students. F sharp diminished. Triad, not 7, because this 7 has a D sharp, E flat in there. But we would have to do just a triad. This, and then back to G. So I'm doing it like this. I'm going root, flat 5, octave, flat 3rd. But it's important to know your harmonized scale. And this is, again, all on Patreon for you guys who are Patreon members. Just download all my theory stuff and check it all out. Seventh chords rule. Wait, seventh chords rule or seventh chords rule? Not sure. So what I want to do just today is just, first of all, to get us introduced to this, is just practice G major. I'm going to show you some practice techniques, essentially. C major, back to G major. This is first inversion, then D major, second inversion. And that C major was root position, by the way. So you're going to learn all your inversion shapes, and I would recommend just staying on the top 3 strings for this study, always, actually, because that's where you're doing those for rhythm guitar, little reggae style, G, C, D, and up here, G and D. That's root position. G, root position. C, in second inversion. G, D, and C. With you. Don't worry, I'm not going to try singing it. Van Morrison, he's still living, of course, and he's going to sing it for you. And he's not here with me, but you know what I'm saying? Listen to him sing it. So let's practice these triad inversions. There's a couple different things I would recommend. Make sure you can do this. G, 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 G. C, I'm going to use, I was going to use the open one, like we're doing this. That's with the 5th and the lowest notes. That's second version. C, C, C. Back to G and D. And we can add lib a little bit. G, C, G, D, G, C. You can sing it. I can't hear you, so. Hey, where do we go? I'll kind of speak it. Days when the rains come down on the hollow. You're improvising with these shapes. Playing a new game. Laughing and a running. Hey, hey, G. Skipping and a jumping. In the misty morning, fogged with our hearts are thumping in C, D, brown-eyed girl, G, E minor, C, D, and G, D, and improvise with these shapes. So that's what I would kind of recommend, is just setting up your loop pedal. 1, 2, 3, 4. G, D, G, C, D, G, D. Again. C. Say it as you do it. G, D, G, C, G, and D. You can solo. When I say solo, you can just pick out notes from those chord shapes, those little triad shapes, and start to break them up into little leads. It's really melodic, very simple, and you're following the chords. It's very lyrical. So that's a nice approach, the triad method approach for leads. I've got a whole series, and you can embellish it. You can do all this really cool stuff. Gets you kind of jazzy, essentially. So check out my triad embellishments and all the triad studies on Patreon. I'll have to post the link to just the triad lessons. The good thing about Patreon now too is that if you don't want to become a member of Patreon, you can actually just purchase posts individually. So I'm trying to go through my 5,000 plus posts, I know, and trying to set it so everything's just at $5 a post. Some of them have a ton of PDFs attached to it and a sound slice and a bonus video and whatnot. Some of them just might be very minimalistic, just one PDF, but everything's just at a set price of $5 per post if you don't want to join Patreon on a monthly thing. But usually I recommend just do the annual for the Patreon if you want to become part of the community. So anyways, I want to show you this method again. I was just kind of having fun improvising. I'm gonna do a little bit more as super fun. G, C, say it, G. Hey, Jeffrey, welcome. D. This is just in this position. C. Gotta say it. G. D. G. C. G. D. Maybe I'll change my pickup flavor so it doesn't sound the same. G. D. D. G. C. G. C. I'm still saying it. G. Kind of sounds almost like what the guitar player is doing on that recording, right? All these beautiful fills around there having fun. I'm not sure who the guitar player is on that recording, but it's really great. I mean, it's classic, and you'll hear all this beautiful noodling around in the background. A lot of this triad method. Okay. So the thing I would recommend practicing this is, of course, this is a great study on just major triads. And the next song I'll show you that we're going to do is all major triads too. I'm going to have you guess this song in a second. But let's continue with this study here. If you're like, Tracy, how do I get good at this? Just get that one shape. It's coming right out of the bar chord shape too. Just the top three strings. See the G shape? This. And then now what I'm going to show you is just slide it up here to C. Just like you slide a bar chord or a power chord. We're going to do just a triad. Slide. Not the most efficient way, but at least you don't have to think. The only thing you have to think about, to me right now, is where is my root, in this case, G. C. G. D. Okay? So I'm going to yell it out in tabs. 3, 8, 3, 10, 3. Now put the shape to it.